and also stability, especially as we approach the critical December 2024 general elections. This is a matter of serious concern.
We hear from the National Security Minister as he lays out the biggest threat to Ghana's security.
That today, from where I sit, I can confidently say that this information is one of the major security challenges that I have to confront with on a daily basis.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
And Top Story is always brought to you by Vodafone. There are individuals in academia, civil society, and the media actively exploiting their influence and following to promote a coup and destabilize Ghana. That's according to the National Security Minister, Albert Kandapa, as he laid out what he considers to be the biggest threat to Ghana's security ahead of the 2024 general elections. Listen to him.
In Ghana, more disconcerting trend is also emerging. Notably, following the coup in Niger, certain individuals in academia, civil society, and the media, you must have observed, have been propagating false narratives in support of a coup or military rule. These actors have gained substantial followings on social media, leveraging their influence to disseminate misinformation that threaten our nation's peace and also stability, especially as we approach the critical December 2024 general elections. This is a matter of serious concern and must not only be a matter of concern to the security operatives, but I think to all of us in the country. Misinformation, whether intentional or inadvertent, from these individuals, because they are influential, poses a significant threat to Ghana's stability. Baseless political commentary undermines public confidence in vital institutions. Loss of confidence in vital institutions like the Electoral Commission and the judiciary can be very dangerous, and potentially they can steer our country towards a perilous path. And I think beyond the erosion of public trust in the institutions of state, which then culminates in public cynicism and skepticism, disinformation also creates a misinformed public whose decisions on policies and elections are influenced by false narratives, a development that also goes to undermine democratic processes. And to put it in a better perspective, misinformation, disinformation can influence voters, can influence them to make decisions which are inconsistent with their best interests. And this could include the election of a bad leader and opting for a bad public policy, all of which can have grave consequences for the survival of a state.
And that's the National Security Minister, Albert Kandapa. Joining me right now is Suleiman Ibrahima. He is Executive Director of the Media Foundation for West Africa. They monitor misinformation, disinformation across the media landscape. He is in civil society and joins us right now with his thoughts on what we just heard there from the National Security, who's diagnosing our national security threat. He says the biggest one we currently face is that. Professor Ransford Jampo, Professor of Political Science at University of Ghana. He is also the President of UTAG, University of Ghana, and joins us right now. Prof, I want to start with you. So the National Security Minister diagnoses a problem. He says it's a trend that individuals in academia, civil society, and media, they are exploiting, leveraging their influence to promote coup and destabilize this country. It's the biggest threat he's facing currently. You agree?
I think generally it appears this was a statement written for the Honorable Minister by somebody who is completely out of touch with the realities on the ground. And the minister just went to read what was written or prepared for him. I have a lot of respect for Kandapa because whether we like it or not, he's one of the key architects working behind the scenes to keep our peace. The fact that there is still peace in spite of hardships isn't all because we are peace-loving. It is also because people like him are working tirelessly behind the scenes to deal with potential troublemakers and to ensure that things are kept always on the quiet. But his analysis and what was written for him about potential fuelers of coup, in my view, is quite jaundiced. He should take a simple read of the literature about the causes of military interventions, including those seminal ones authored by people like Professor Michael Quay. And I think if he does this, he would come to a different conclusion and realization that what was written for him to go and read is completely out of touch with the real situation on the ground. If you want to talk about factors that fuel military interventions and coup, it's not because it's not academia using influences. It's about bad governance. It's about corruption. It's about economic mismanagement. It's about nepotistic appointments. It's about hunger and poverty. It's about the sense of despondency in the system. It's about politicians looting the coffers of the state. It's about opulence living style of many appointees whilst they call on minority or the ordinary people who are suffering to tighten their belt. So you tell people to tighten their belt and then you live in opulence. I mean, if you look at all these things happening, they give consent for people to complain. If you look at all these variables, then they would give consent for the academia and people like trade unions and all of us to complain. And if we are complaining and you describe our complaint as fueling or we using our influences to garner support on the part of people to offer some form of acceptance or support for coups, then it means your analysis is quite misplaced. But like I said, I wouldn't want to blame him too much. He went to read a speech that was prepared for him. I think that if he listens to what we are saying, he will realize that the presentation, in my view, was completely out of touch with reality. Civil society leaders, academia, media, who do they represent? They represent the ordinary people. And so why will anybody want to complain? And these people who are they? They are the ordinary. If you talk about civil society, you are talking about the coming together of various non-state actors that provides a linkage between the government and the governed. Those who are being governed and those who are governing. That's the role of civil society. And so if you hear civil society articulating some of these concerns and you rather regard or describe them as they're using their influence to garner support for military coups, then you yourself, your analysis is quite misplaced. And so, with the greatest of respect to the Honorable Minister, it appears he doesn't know what he's talking about. If you want to talk about coups, and if you want to talk about antidote to coups, I've always argued the best antidote to coups is good governance.
Stay with me, Prof. I want to bring in Suleiman Abrama. Mr. Abrama, you monitor these things on across the board. Have you observed this trend too in your monitoring?
Well, Evans, I would want to start off by sharing the same sentiments that Professor Jampo has just shared in terms of my respect for the Honorable Kanapa. I think that he is certainly one of the finest people that President Akufo-Addo appointed, and not just that, but also appointed the right position. This is somebody that I would say a very cool-headed person, takes time to analyze issues, engages with different stakeholders, all in the effort to make our country stable. Having said that, I would also re-echo again what Dr. Jampo has said in terms of the analysis that we made. I would start by saying that, look, as Professor Jampo said, yes, we can give credit to Honorable Kanapa for stability that we witnessed despite the bad governance, the misgovernance, the high levels of corruption, the hassles that we are going through. But the other group that certainly we should credit is civil society, because on daily basis there are conversations going on within civil society about, this challenge, how do we deal with it? How can we help counter the challenge? Youth unemployment and the threat that it poses. As I speak to you, there is a convening that is going to happen in northern Ghana, bringing together the 5 regional coordinating councils to have a conversation about maintaining peace, order, social protection, and so on. Yes, most disinformation is a problem across the world. It's not just here in Ghana. And I think in this context, we may be talking more about disinformation rather than misinformation. Because misinformation in the technical sense of it is basically about putting out information that you don't know is false, but it turns out to be false. And if we are going by that, I think the very latest fact-checking work that we have done is about a falsehood that was put out by President Akufo-Addo. Would we then say that the president is deliberately engaging in disinformation? As Prof. Jampo said, many of these people, statements are written for them to go and read. But of course, when it comes to disinformation, that is where people are deliberately putting out information that they know not to be true, and yet they will put it out there for ulterior motives. Here in Ghana, I wouldn't rule it out. It happens. But who are the main perpetrators? I would say the perpetrators are elements within the MPP and the NDC. Yes, the media can sometimes get it wrong, and sometimes acknowledge. Sometimes they would only get to know that what they put out there was perhaps factual. But I don't think that in most instances the media will put out information out there knowing very well that it is not true, but they just want to foment trouble. Again, as Professor Jampo said, in terms of national security, national stability, the most potent threat is the misgovernance that is happening. The high levels of corruption that is happening. We are lucky that we don't have the situation in Burkina Faso or Niger or Mali with these highly organized terrorist groups that are literally taking parts of these countries. Here in Ghana, our challenge is, as I said, governance, high levels of corruption, autism, almost autocratic tendencies in the democracy. And I think these, for me, are the things that we should really, really be worried about.
But what about...
The minister also talks about loss of public confidence, in public institutions. And what do you expect when the president appoints a very known active member of the party to go and become a member of the people who serve as referees in our election? You want people to be quiet and say that, after all, this person was a regional communications officer, the regional elections officer for MPP during the last elections, but going to be a member of the electoral commission. It doesn't matter. Is that what people should take it? You appoint somebody who recently ran on your party's ticket to parliament onto the bench of the Supreme Court, and you would say that, after all, he said he has resigned from the party in 2020. So people should trust that when he goes out there, he's not going to be partisan. It is never going to be the case. And we have to be realistic. We have to speak truth to each other. And it is out of speaking truth to each other that we keep our democracy stable. It is not about lying to ourselves or basically singing the praises of a government every day. Sometimes I feel the government only feels what is true is when praises are being sung about the government. And that when people are critical, what is happening is that is falsehood. I don't think that kind of mindset or mentality.
But Mr. Brima,
I said, after Jampo has said, there is anything that dangerous for our democracy, dangerous for our stability. The first thing is the misgovernance that is happening, the corruption that is happening, the economic squeeze that is happening, the stealing that is happening, the grabbing of public lands and so on that is happening. People see it. And those are the things that we must deal with.
However, the national security assessment. However, the national security assessment is, in spite of the challenges that you've articulated, and Prof also did articulate same, the individuals that he has identified in the assessment in civil society, academia, and the media, he says they are putting out the falsehood with the intention to support coup and military instability in this country. I mean, hasn't it got a point there? If that is the national security assessment, and clearly if they've identified these people and it says it's a trend, then they may have definitely been monitoring these individuals over time. If you have concerns about misgovernance, you use appropriate channels to deal with it. You go to the polls and you vote the leaders out. But his point is, these individuals in academia and civil society and the media aren't doing that. They are not waiting for that, but they are using their influence, the following that they have, to promote coup. That certainly can be right.
No, so the point I'm making is I doubt the veracity of what the Honorable Minister said. I believe what is happening is that people who are not happy with critical comments about the government take that to misconstrue that to being misinformation or disinformation. If someone were to say that, look, we need to be careful as a country because right now around the world, democracy is receding. We are witnessing at record levels countries where democratic values are declining. And we are in a region where the military have started taking over governance. Mali, Burkina Faso, Guinea, it has happened. So as a country, we need to be careful. I don't think that anybody should take that to be misinformation or disinformation. I think that is really the right message. But if that is taken to mean or constitute mis or disinformation, then the interpretation of mis-disinformation is being twisted. And I believe that is what is happening. I will be very, very happy if people at the national security are able to come out with data that says that over the last 3 months, these are pieces of information that have been put out there by people in academia, in civil society, and in media, which have proven to be false. And I believe is that after the time these people were putting out this information, they knew that this was false. And these pieces of information are expressions of opinion that endorse coup d'etats and endorse military rule. If they are able to come up with that, then of course we'll be having a meaningful conversation. We run Fact Check Ghana in the last 4 to 5 months because of our concerns. Of course, globally there are concerns about misinformation, disinformation, and its implications. And of course, not just that. People are also concerned about toxic polarization around the world. People expressing views that certainly foment polarization. As a result, we've beefed up the number of people on Fact Check Ghana quite considerably. In fact, we are still recruiting more. But we haven't come across this pattern where people in civil society or media are deliberately putting out false information in order to create a certain impression that our country wouldn't be stable or our country, needs to be taken over by the military. And so I challenge them to bring out the data so that we can have a meaningful conversation.
And Professor Jampo, because you're also you're a professor in political science, the minister links this challenge, this trend they've identified, to the 2024 elections, and you monitor that space also. Isn't it the case that when we are approaching elections, we see these voices emerge, and often they do so under the cloak of civil society and media and academia, only for them to metamorphose into open, overt political voices post-elections? Isn't that part of the problem? that maybe the minister?
I do not think so. These voices you are referring to have always been there. Since we started the second term of government of the current regime, things were difficult, and these voices have always been talking. And so I find it difficult to understand or to appreciate the concerns that have been raised about individuals using their influence to deliberately peddle some misinformation just to be able to garner support for military intervention. I've heard people talking, but these are not people who have openly said that they themselves support military interventions. We've all been talking, and we've all said that if you have seen or observed what have happened to other countries, and even in our own political history, if you have read what happened when there were military interventions, coups wouldn't be the kinds of things you may want to be wishing for, because we have always argued, political scientists will tell you that soldiers have no business being in government. And so we do not wish for coup. But the point is that the very factors that create Praetorian situations for military interventions in politics or in government to occur are real with us. And these are the things we are talking about. I was expecting Honorable Kandapat to be talking about these factors that create the conditions for coups to occur. I was expecting him to have taken exception to the kind of governance that we are currently experiencing. I was expecting him to speak to the looting of state coffers and also the corruption in the system. As national security official or head, he should be talking about some of these things and be warning people perpetrating them that if you do these things, then you create the fertile ground for what we don't want to happen. But to target those who are complaining about the ills in the system as they rather being the ones fueling coups, I mean, it's completely, in my view, out of touch with reality. And like I said, I want to reiterate the point that this is not the Kandapa that I know. This statement was prepared for him to go and read. Because if you meet this Kandapa I'm talking about, he's a very level-headed person, and he knows the kinds of things that will fuel coups. He knows the kinds of variables and the precursors that always are there for the military to strike. And we are seeing most of them with us. So for me, for him to go and read some things like, I mean, politicians should be mindful about the caliber of people who surround them as public servants and who write their speeches for them. If you are not careful and you yourself, you don't soak yourself into what is really happening, then there's a tendency that they will write some of these speeches for you to go and read. Except that
he's
what he read to the hearing of the good people of Ghana was completely out of touch with reality.
Except that he's a national security minister, so he would definitely, before speaking on this and talking about using words like trends, would have been anchored on national security monitoring, evaluation, and assessment and briefings that he would have had.
Well, I doubt this particular thing about coups and potential threats and trends and all that. I mean, like I said, we all know the causes, we know the factors, the variables that are always there before they occur. And I'm saying that I expect somebody like him to be addressing or to be talking about how we have to address the problem of bad governance. I'm expecting somebody like him to be talking about how we have to address corruption, how we have to fight corruption. I'm expecting somebody like him to be talking about how we would have to bring a certain unity within the workforce fraternity, because as we speak now, we have a situation where the vast majority of the people are always laboring, and they are the ones who are always being taxed and overtaxed, and they are providing. It's like government is always squeezing water from stones from them just to be able to finance the opulent living standards of politicians and top appointees. I'm expecting him to be talking about some of these things as being the precursors to what we don't want. If you don't talk about them and people are complaining and you are saying that they are rather using their influence to be eliciting support for coups, then like I said, your statement and your speech is completely out of touch with reality. It's important we tell him in the face that next time when he wants to go and talk, he should come to reality. He should listen to what is happening on the ground. Speak to the ordinary people.
Prof, thank you very much. Also, you heard earlier Suleiman Abrahama, who heads the Media Foundation for West Africa. I want to hear from you, 055-1111-997. You've heard from the National Security Minister giving us his assessment of the security situation when it comes to talk around coup d'etats and instability. And he says they've identified as trend that borders on individuals within civil society, media, and academia. Do you agree? Share your thoughts. Newsnight in a minute.
Ajwa, the online page for the new business account was in shambles yesterday. We lost the page.
Tell me about it.
We started off very confident, and then the office broadband went down. When we set up the hotspot from the phone to reconnect, the data allocation also got finished.
You are joking.
I wish. The meeting room was hot. Kobe quickly tried calling them to give us some more time, but he had no airtime. Total chaos. They also gave us feedback that our website didn't have enough information. How can you run a business this way and hope to grow?
Oh dear.
Your business communication can be way better than this. Vodafone One Business is a complete communications package that gives you broadband with data transfer to mobile phones, mobile package with free calls among employees, landline with free calls and website design plus domain name registration. At Vodafone Business, we understand that strong connections within your business lead to success. Call 050-777-9000 or sign up by sending an email to sme@vodafone.com. Vodafone, further together.
Ready? Let's go. We all go bring some savannah.
Everyone is dancing, everyone is singing, because everyone is painting with Savannah. Savannah paints from Azar are affordable enough for everybody to fulfill their paint needs. Paint more, pay less. Savannah paint, we all go paint some.
We all go paint some savannah. We all go paint some.
In the next 60 minutes here on Newsnight, it's a needless pursuit. Minority fights Finance Ministry's decision to set up a financial oversight desk for Cocoa Board, describing the move as hopeless.
It's needless to applaud them because what they are enacting is a hopeless scenario. But more importantly, this is a vindication of what we've been saying all along.
More as the Finance Ministry begins monthly auditing of Electricity Company of Ghana revenues as part of measures to help offset $1.1 billion legacy debt.
The collections will be audited every quarter, agreed by PURC to make sure that the cash waterfall mechanism are always sort of respected.
Also tonight, the Director General of the Ghana Health Service is tonight directing all hospitals in flood-affected areas to offer free medical treatment to persons without NHIS cards and those who do not have funds to pay for services.
I've also directed that for those people who may have lost their health insurance cards or do not have resources, the facility should offer free care in the interim whilst we find solutions to address these challenges.
Then later, Health Ministry and the National Health Insurance Authority set to announce a comprehensive solution to funding kidney treatment in a couple of weeks, as President Akufo-Addo intervenes following Joy News Limited series dialysis crisis.
When the matter came up, the president instructed the health authorities to examine it and to come to the table with various recommendations on how to deal with it. And I do know that those recommendations are due in the next couple of weeks.
And in business, Bank of Ghana increases dollar support for commercial banks to help deal with the sustained pressure on the Ghana cedi.
And in sports, the maiden edition of the African Football League set to kick off with Egyptian giant Al Ahly and Tanzanian giant Simba FC playing.
This is why we say goodbye to you for 2023.
You're speechless. We weren't expecting this thing to happen to us. They can never mark Presec. You see, my eyes are red. It's not because we have lost. That's why my eyes are red. Yes, naturally, that's why my eyes are.
Opokuwari Senior High School inches closer to their third NSMQ title after dismantling five-time champions Prempeh College in the semi-finals in a very close race. And this is where you want to be for the latest in this ongoing titanic clash between Presec Legon battling with Keita SHS and Infantipim. Can Presec hold on? Details shortly, all here on Newsnight. Plus your views also. And tonight, the minority in Parliament is dismissing the Ministry of Finance and the Bank of Ghana's decision to set up a monitoring desk to observe the finances of the Ghana Cocoa Board to ensure discipline in expenditure. Cocoa Board has over the years been reeling under huge annual losses, which has been identified as a major threat to the sector and government fiscal efforts, of course, under the International Monetary Fund program. Speaking exclusively to my colleague George Yafe in a yet-to-be-aired interview on PM Express Business Edition later tonight, the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, said the purchase of fertilizers and the construction of cocoa roads will be strictly monitored to ensure they are within budget limits. In fact, he says the ministry and the BOG will take a seat on the Cocoa Board.
Both the Governor of the Central Bank and the Minister for Finance, myself, will now be on the board. We also have set up a desk or setting up a desk at the Ministry of Finance that will really interact with the financing division of Cocoa Board to make sure that the issues of fertilizer, cocoa roads, overheads, are all brought into an ambit of discipline. So those then begin to tell you how we are getting into the issue of expenditure and also on the revenue side.
You mentioned Cocoa Board. What is the status of the restructuring, both the Cocoa Board and the energy sector debts as well? And
that we are engaged on much more on a daily basis as to what's going on, and then to be able to ensure that issues of fertilizers and cocoa roads are rationalized. So that's important.
Well, the minority is already dismissing the move, describing it as hopeless. Listen to the deputy ranking member on the Greek Food and Cocoa Affairs Committee in Parliament, Dr. Godfred Seydou Jasal.
It's needless to applaud them because what they are enacting is a hopeless scenario. But more importantly, this is a vindication of what we've been saying all along. We've said that for 6 years, Cocoa Board has been run at a loss, and that something terrible is happening at Cocoa Board. And then they have denied it for 6 years. Now they have come round. And the last thing I heard from the finance minister was his indication that he was going to sit on the board of Cocoa Board together with the governor of the Bank of Ghana. These two individuals are going to sit on the board of Cocoa Board. That is already a cesspit. We have said time and time again that Cocoa Board has run a loss in the last 6 years, and that something needs to be done. This Cocoa Road thing that he said they are going to investigate and so on. And why will it take you 6 years to investigate?
Well, Dr. Giselle joins us on the telephone line right now. Doc, thanks for your time here on Newsnight.
Thank you very much, Evans.
So you've identified that there's a problem at Cocoa Board. This is a solution that the finance minister is proposing. It appears that the finance minister and the BOJ have come to the conclusion that Cocoa Board, they need supervision. And because of the lack of supervision, they are possibly being reckless. Isn't this a way to deal with the problem? Why do you believe it's hopeless?
Well, it's hopeless because of the track record of the individuals proposing this so-called solution. This is a finance minister that whose record is clear. You are living through it. He's messed up the economy of this country. This is a Bank of Ghana governor whose track record, again, is clear to everybody. This is a call that we have been making in the last 6 years.
Yeah, well, better late than never.
No, but at the moment, what is the state of Cocoa Board? As we speak, Evans, this is October 19th or 20th? 19th. They have not been able to get syndicated loan to be able to buy cocoa, whose season has long started. That tells you a lot. They cannot even put the banks and syndicated loan together. They can't. Cocoa production has been declining. Indeed, we are wondering whether this year we'll be able to get 500,000 metric tons. So the whole sector has been run down completely. And so the solution is not the finance minister and then the governor of the Bank of Ghana sitting on the board. I think we need to even dig further to check the legality of that. We have to check the Cocoa Board Act to see whether that even allows it in the first place.
Yeah,
but be it as it may, if it allows, what really are they coming to do?
Well, they are going to give them closer supervision and monitoring. If not that, what's the solution you're proposing?
Evans, there are systems in place. What we are saying is that let's have an overall audit of the management regime of Cocoa Board. The Auditor General has raised this year in, year out. That tells you a failure of governance. Because if it's been raised, why will we wait till there's a hopeless situation now at Cocoa Board? Then the Minister of Finance goes to sit on the board. Is he going to sit as the chair of the board? Is he going to sit and overrule what the board chair approves and agrees as sentiments and decisions of the board? What's he going to sit to do? What does the board do anyway? There's a management in place. The board simply oversees. I would have thought that you are saying that what the board has overseen the management doing has been a mess. You were going to dissolve the board. You were going to wipe out the management, reset a management arrangement. Then they can begin to be confident. But that is not happening because it's a larger reflection of what is happening in the economy. The president cannot even do anything to the finance minister. So the same way, they can't even do anything to the board. So unfortunately, it appears we have to deal with this scenario until, say, the next election. And so sitting on the board brings in nothing new. I'm sorry, Evans, there's nothing new coming up.
Well, but also, Parliament, I know you've been complaining about this, but you have the authority to bring greater scrutiny to what Cocoa Board is doing. It's our money. It's one of our biggest earners in this struggling economy. Have you done that beyond, of course, complaining about this on the floor and sometimes in press conferences?
Yes, we have done. We have invited the Cocoa Board severally. They've appeared before us on a number of situations, and it doesn't just add up. Indeed, most of the complaints you've heard us talk about has been an outcome of meetings that were held with the Cocoa Board. We've scrutinized the books, and that's why I'm telling authority that it's a complete mess. It's hopeless. One reflection is that they can't even raise the syndicated loan as we speak. Banks have no confidence because the governor of the Bank of Ghana, again, has his own challenges in how he has run banks.
Well, Mr. Giselle, thank you very much. And he is the Deputy Ranking Member on the Agri-Food and Cocoa Affairs Committee in Parliament. Thankfully, we can speak to the Deputy Chief Executive of Cocoa Board in charge of operations, Dr. Emmanuel Poku. Doc, thanks for your time here on News 9.
Yes, hello. Good evening.
Good evening. Great to have you join us. The Finance Minister has spoken to us exclusively, in which he says, now they want to take a seat on your board because they're simply not happy with the way you run the place. You can see that this is a pretty obvious damning verdict on the administration that you're a part of.
Well, thank you and good evening. I don't have much to say. The only thing I want to say is that if you look at the Cocoa Board structure, the Finance Ministry or the minister's rep as a member of the board. So it's either the minister or his rep. So, except that the minister himself, because of his schedule, his busy schedule, he has one of his deputies always coming. And even that, sometimes, because of the nature of the government's business, they are not able to make it. The governor of Bank of Ghana is also a member of the board. And also, most of especially the IMF issues and all that, it was difficult for them. And I don't think anybody begrudges them. We are working according to the requirements of the Cocoa Board law. We work under a board chaired by somebody appointed by the government. And the Minister of Finance is a member of the board. We have the Minister of Agri also on the board, and in this case, as a deputy minister who represents the minister. So, I don't think Cocoa Board has done anything wrong. Cocoa Board, we cannot spend anything without the board's consent and then our supervising ministry's approval. So it beats my imagination to believe that somebody, raises an accusation that we have been reckless, we have been this. Cocoa Board doesn't spend any money without the board's approval and the ministry's approval. So it just means that we are doing what the law requires us to do. We have appeared before Parliament a couple of times, and I don't think they have found anything against Cocoa Board. We have auditors that audit our accounts, and they understand how cocoa works. One major thing is that Cocoa Board, by law, we are not supposed to make profits. We have been operating and meeting governments, what government wants us to do or finance. Now, I think with this IMF requirement, the Minister of Finance has agreed with a plan that Cocoa Board should be allowed to make profit. That is good, because that is how every organization should operate. But before then, with all the previous governments and all that, from the time I joined the ministry, this was in the PNDC time, before we started the Fourth Republic. The boards have been there, chaired by an appointee of the president, and Cocoa Board has operated according to the laws. and the statutes that the Cocoa Board law, permits us. So if somebody sits somewhere and says Cocoa Board has been reckless, we cannot be reckless. We cannot operate or spend any or give approval for anything that government has not approved. So this is all I want to say here.
Yes,
so that people get to understand.
Just for clarity, I just want you to listen to the finance minister and the context in which he places their decision now to take a seat on your board. Listen.
Both the governor of the central bank and the minister for finance, myself, will now be on the board. We also have set up a desk, or setting up a desk at the Ministry of Finance that will really interact with the financing division of Cocoa Board to make sure that the issues of fertilizer, cocoa roads, overheads, are all brought into an ambit of discipline.
There you have it, Mr. Poku. Discipline. Yes. That suggests that you've been in discipline, and that's why the finance minister himself, the BOG governor, are not only taking a seat, but they are also setting up a desk. He says discipline.
No, you see, I don't think the minister imputes that we have been in discipline, because as I said, there's nothing Cocoa Board or the board would do that doesn't have the approval of the government. And as I said, the minister or the ministry, that is the two ministries, finance and agri, they are all members of Cocoa Board, and their reps attend. But this time, the minister himself wants to attend, which is very, very good and welcoming. Exactly, so that everybody gets to know that we have not been doing anything outside of what the ministry or the government, has permitted us to do, or the law has permitted us to do. This is the situation. The point that the ministry would want to appoint a desk, it has been there, except that for some time it wasn't really working because in the past the minister himself doesn't come, and the desk officer attend the board meetings because they have the time to be there and then report to the minister. But now it is the deputy minister or the minister himself, and you know how government business works. It's busy, so they may not have the time to attend. That is different from the period where an officer or a desk officer comes and attends on behalf of the minister, and then goes back to report to the minister. I don't know how it works right now, but I believe that the minister's presence will be very helpful, so that we all get to know that, truly, Cocoa Board was reckless, or Cocoa has been operating according to the law. I believe that the minister's presence is a very important step, and the governor is already a member of the board, so his ability to attend meetings will also add up. And then at the end of the day, everybody will see that, after all, Cocoa Board hasn't been reckless in anything.
Yeah, let me find out. I mean, how much debt are you currently saddled with?
Well, right now I will not be able to tell you any information, because I'm not the one in charge of finance, and I don't have any documents before me to speak to it.
But we all know that you are in quite some significant debt. It's the reason why the IMF is keeping a close eye on this, and we've seen the finance minister make the pronouncement he's made. And you also make the point that now you're going to be required to make profit.
Yeah.
What does that mean for the farmer, the cocoa farmer? What would that mean for them?
Well, whatever we make, we spend it on the farm. Okay. The point is that we do a lot of investments in helping the farmer to repair the problems or to correct the problems that they face. And these are the problems. Diseases, okay, and diseases is not just pests. Currently, we have working to rehabilitate all the cocoa farms in Ghana. I tell you, it is a massive investment. People sit at the back, they don't know what is going on. And it is important that people, before you speak, you either come to Cocoa Board or you read about to get to know what is really happening. Cocoa is a tree crop. If it stays for a period, and after that, it gets old. Okay, if it gets old, it can be affected by diseases or overage, and then you have to replant, or you have to, control the spread of the disease. So it's a lot of work and a lot of investment. A lot of the work we've been doing in recent times is to try to replant all the moribund farms and diseased farms. Some of the diseases are such that there's nothing you can do. You have to cut the cocoa and replant. It's a huge investment. This was not being done in the past. It is during this time, since 2018, that we've been doing that to date. And we have rehabilitated a lot of several thousands of cocoa farms, which were not in production. They are young farms. We will start seeing the results in the next 4 to 5 years.
Yeah, if
at that point, what will people say?
Everything you've said tonight is in defense of what Cocoa Board have done. You have not been reckless. You've done your work according to the books. The finance ministry have reps and they are there. But the evidence, the numbers say that Cocoa Board is hugely in debt. Cocoa Board is struggling. There's a concern about whether you can even raise the syndicated loan you require. The finance ministry is reacting to that by saying they want to sit on the bench. All that points to some definite mismanagement at your end.
Just as I said, there's no mismanagement anywhere.
Okay.
Cocoa Board cannot make any investment without the board's approval and without the ministry's approval.
Do you have any latest on the syndication loan and what will happen this year?
The syndication loan is going to be signed. You see, it will confound all the critics. We don't have to go public and say we are doing this tomorrow. We're going to sign. It will be signed.
Do you have a timeline for this?
I don't see
have a timeline
the problem here with the syndication.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's the Deputy Chief Executive of the Ghana Cocoa Board in charge of operations, Dr. Emmanuel Opoku, on the night when the Finance Minister is disclosing that he himself and the BOG governor will take a seat on their board, and they want to instill discipline in the way they handle their finances. Well, you want to join us with your thoughts also, especially if you're a cocoa farmer or you're related to one. Let me hear from you. 055-111-11997. Tonight, it is emerging that after the Joy News Dialysis Crisis Thought Leadership event, the Ministry of Health and the National Health Insurance Authority are expected to release a comprehensive plan to fund kidney treatment in Ghana. That's when you have a kidney failure and you need possibly dialysis. This will determine the direction of government in dealing with this kidney problem. Now, the Private Health Facilities Association of Ghana is also pushing for government to scrap taxes on medical equipment imported into the country. According to them, this could result in a potential 40% reduction in the cost of dialysis. This was in a statement they issued tonight, sent to government following a Joy News special campaign, Dialysis Crisis. Dr. Yao Osafo is the Eastern Regional Rep of the association.
The dialyzer that you use, the chemical, the fluids that you use, the tubes, most of them we would discard them, can't use them again. That's about 25%. Then of course, if you buy an equipment, the equipment has a lifespan of about 10 years. You're going to have to spread that over a period. So I'm thinking realistically, we're looking up to about 40% reduction in cost if you do add the consumables. Dialysis specific consumables, you're looking at much as about 40% reduction in the cost. Our proposal is to waive in particular the taxes. I mean the cost. We are bearing the cost. We are buying the equipment, from out there. But then when it comes in, it will be very helpful if we waive it.
Well, the Information Minister, Kojo Ponkuma, received the proposal and disclosed the government has already taken steps to deal with the dialysis crisis.
First, I think it's important to inform you that when the matter came up, the President instructed the health authorities to examine it and to come to the table with various recommendations on how to deal with it. And I do know that those recommendations are due in the next couple of weeks by both the Health Insurance Authority and the Ministry of Health. And so the inputs that you are sharing with us today, I am very sure that it will find expression at the table when those considerations are being made. Health is a public service, and ordinarily it will be the job of government to provide quality, affordable health care that is accessible to the population everywhere. We know the financing constraints we have as a country. So when private sector is supporting, it's only a complement to what government should be doing. But health is a public service. So the first point you make about some support in being able to get in equipment like dialysis equipment and other related equipment, I think is simple and straightforward, that we should explore ways by which we can make it easy and affordable for the private sector to bring in dialysis equipment, etc. And specifically the matter of taxes on dialysis machines or maybe other related machines are things that I think we should look at, and I can assure you that there are things that we will raise cogently at the table, cabinet, and make a strong case for it, that it's something that if the public service on its own doesn't have the resources to bring in these equipment and the private sector wants to do so, it makes sense that we don't then add taxes to it, despite the kind of revenues that we need as a country. It makes sense.
Well, Kojo Bafo Ahinkra has a kidney disease. He's been on dialysis for 10 years and joins us quickly right now. He was one of the key voices when we ran that campaign. Mr. Ahinkra, thanks for your time. So you listened to the Information Minister show that the President has given a directive that he'll be getting a briefing pretty shortly, and something is going to be done in terms of making the treatment affordable. I wonder, what's your reaction to that?
Yes, thank you very much. It's a welcoming news. We thank God at least they've heard our cry. But the problem we the patient from Kolebu, still the unit is close to the outpatient people. As at the time we did this story, we are 14 dead. Now we are 18 dead. 18 people gone. So please, yes, it's a welcome. We thank the government for what he has done so far. We appreciate it. Yes, but how quickly is it going to be? How quickly is it going to be? People are dying. People are dying. When we came to the studio, the Kolebu CEO made us understood that there was some debt that they were owing, some 4 million.
4 million.
And yes. I remember Dr. Asiasa promised that they will work to it, that maybe that money can be get to them. And the Kolebu CEO promised that if that 4 million is paid, they will open up the unit to us. So the unit is still not open, Evans.
Absolutely.
It's still not open. We are still struggling going to private facilities to do the dialysis.
You are absolutely right, Mr. Ahinkra. Thank you very much for that quick reaction to what we just heard there from the Information Minister. And if you followed that thought leadership event that we did, indeed, the Kolebu CEO who was on the show with the presidential advisor on health disclosed what they will require to reopen the dialysis units at Kolebu. He says they need a 4 million cedi because they're in debt.
The renal unit has a deficit or has a financial deficit of 4 million cedis that we need to, that we are trying to find ways of.
Is that debt?
Yes, that's
or you
debt.
owe a supplier?
No, it's debt. Yes, debt that we owe.
How do you accrue that? How was that accrued?
It's because of the under recovery from the service that we are providing, and so to run at full throttle would mean that with this debt is going to balloon. Okay, and that is why there was a need for us to look at adjusting the price. But then we also have about 45 machines that the supplier or the supplier is supposed to bring in that have been withheld because of this debt.
Who is withholding it?
That's the Fresenius Medical Care. That's the company that produces the dialysis machines and supplies the consumables. And because of the debt, the outstanding debt, the supply had been withheld. We are now engaged with government, with the ministry, with other stakeholders to see how quickly we can, find the resources to advance. Because at the moment we are sitting in a 4 million cedi hole. The current, if we are to operate at our current capacity, which is about 2,000 dialysis sessions every month. Then it means that we are going to accumulate 61,000 cedis of debt every month. In addition to the 4 million cedis that we have already. So this is financially unsustainable, and that is why we are also in discussion to see how this can be ameliorated.
And he said on that particular program that if government gave them that help, they will reopen the unit. And he got that assurance from the Presidential Advisor on Health, Dr. Anthony Insiansari, who was seated next to him.
Yes, there's discussion going on.
So they will get the money. You can assure them, because everybody's listening. This is very, very important.
Yes, they have to be supported for Ghanaians to get the treatment.
So you can assure us today on the show that Kolebu will get the money to open the OPD.
Kolebu's chief executive was at the presidency yesterday of the board chairman. So
I just want to get a commitment. They will get the money.
Oh, the government is to assist and help the people. So whatever government wants to do to assist the people, that's what government
they will do.
Well, as you just heard there from Ms. Ahenkra, who lives with a kidney condition, that facility still remains closed. We've been checking if government had actually made good this promise that was made to the CEO, and we're yet to get any clarity on that. But I guess the fact that the unit remains closed speaks volumes. Make of that what you will. But we'll keep monitoring, following, until those promises are kept. This is Newsnight on Joy 99.7 FM. Right after business, breast cancer survivors living with the scars of the disease demand government absorbs the full cost of treatment under the National Health Insurance Scheme.
It's no one's fault that we have cancer. This is not a disease that you choose. It's a disease that happens to you. It can happen to anyone.
And then we return to the Volta region, where tonight the Director General of the Ghana Health Service is directing that those who are currently in need of medical attention, they get it free of charge if they can't find their NHIS. Details of that right after business. Hello, George, and looking forward to this interview with the Finance Minister later tonight. It has generated a fair bit of interest.
Yeah, interesting. And even so I'll be getting more on this from the offer that government has also made to the Eurobond holders, whereas insisting that they should look at government's ability to meet future financial commitment in terms of what it has proposed to them. And Bank of Ghana increases dollar support for commercial banks as it takes steps to deal with the sustained pressure on the local currency. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery and Syntax Tanks, and also Pepsodent, Charcoal and Herbal.
When you want to eat, just Momo it. Tired of the long queues in the supermarket? Pay with Momo. When you really want that beautiful new blouse, just Momo it. When you want to get a trim and get fresh to impress you know who, just Momo it. When you need to pay your utility bills and domestic staff, Shani Momo. When you want to send love to the family back home, send some Momo. Join the millions of MTN Momo users all over Ghana and live life the brighter way. So just Momo it. MTN.
Hooray! The Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited's Back to School promotion is here with us once again. From the 4th of September to the 31st of October 2023, Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited is giving a generous 10% to 15% discount on all school items like textbooks, pens, pencils, erasers, exercise books, and so much more across all our branches in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Takoradi, Winneba, and Cape Coast. Parents, teachers, and students, please hurry while stock lasts. For more information, call us on 0302-764-101 or 0302-764-209 or email info@kingdomgh.com. You can also visit our website www.kingdomgh.com. Kingdom Books, where quality and affordability are both assured. Terms and conditions apply.
No matter your water needs, Syntex has it all. Syntex tank was first to introduce double layer tank, and now you can have as many layers as you want. Sintex Tank was first to introduce white inner layer tanks in Ghana and now introduces the customer specs order, which will let you order any color and size you want. Sintex Tanks gives you the biggest warranty of 7 years, which no other tank gives you. So whatever your water consumption, size of project or demand, choose Sintex Tank. Sintex Tank, stress-free. Sintex Tank, reliable. Sintex Tank, maximum guarantee. Call 0244 335 168, Kumasi 0505 555 666, or visit syntexgh.com. Sintex Tank, a strong, a tough.
For over 10 years, Old Mutual has been touching lives in Ghana. Whether you're a trader or a student, an entrepreneur or an employer, or nearing your retirement, we have the right financial solutions tailored just for you. Contact Old Mutual on 030-7000-600 or visit our website on oldmutual.com.gh to learn more. And let's realize your financial freedom together. 10 years of greatness, here for a lifetime. Old Mutual, do great things every day.
Media Sambisanda mo. Eti emrati no. Mumu hwan pa na tumi hwe na mo bodompe mu mana yakono. Eye kwabna. Na mumu hwan so na tumi tasmale me ma yene nyina de. Eye kojo. Enu kro. Kobre tumi hwe na bodompe mu sense o yisu president eba. Ayede yan ban ne do braye. Bu si eti na mo ho ban na sem mana hoode ne. Sa. Ani na kudwo so yisu president chako. Na eno ne de e ma wo se wo ye krejen fita. Na watimi asiri bedwo ma na filiu. Ey kojo. Yeah. President Heba and a President Chaco. Afedie. You're gonna natural.
FDIJ Jadion Katuyatu.
You're welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, Bank of Ghana is still taking some measures to deal with the recent pressure on the Ghana cedi. The regulator has increased the amount of dollars it sold to commercial banks, that is, which happened on Wednesday. The development, analysts say, have helped narrow the buying and selling rates that the commercial banks offer to their clients. Some of these commercial banks are linking the improved liquidity on the market to the central bank's intervention. Some bank treasurers have also told Joy Business that they expect the marginal gains to continue to the end of this week. Now, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has justified the proposed offer to Eurobond holders as part of measures to restructure the external debts. Government is looking up to 40% cut on the principal of Eurobond holders, as well as not more than 5% on the coupon payments. The minister argued that investors should care about government's ability to meet its financial obligations going into the future. He's been speaking on a yet-to-be-aired PM Express Business Edition at 9 p.m. tonight.
Certain period, and the world has gone through this difficulty which has affected all creditors. How then do you restructure the portfolio such that it will be paid over time? So you need to give the country space for the growth and jobs issues that I mentioned, so there will be productivity to be able to sustain it, and also significantly to acknowledge that, you know, we haven't come to this without doing anything. Our domestic debt exchange program was difficult, sacrificial, and so we have burden shared. It's not like we are coming and telling you, well, you take a haircut and we haven't done anything. Considerable restructuring in Ghana, where we moved interest rates from maybe an average of 19.2 to 9%. Now that's significant. And so that's all on the table. We have done our part with regards to burden sharing. We have done our part with regards to the economic indicators as to where we go. We've done it in the fastest possible time. I think it then behoves you to also tick those three boxes that we have, so that we can get to the equilibrium that.
And Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta speaking on a yet-to-be-aired PM Express Business Edition at 9 p.m. tonight. The Public Interest and Accountability Committee says Cosmos Energy wrongfully paid withholding tax into the Petroleum Holding Fund in 2020 and 2021, totaling $3 million. The committee is also maintaining that the Jubilee Oil Holding Fund had paid about proceeds lifting from the first half of this year. Now, this was captured in its semi-annual report. James Shen has more in this report.
PIAC said this is the fourth consecutive time the Jubilee Oil Holding Limited have failed to pay the proceeds from the Jubilee and 10 fields, totaling $343 million. The report furthered that the total number of existing petroleum agreements has reduced from 14 to 13 as at end of June 2023 to the relinquishment of AGM Petroleum's entire interest in the South Deep Water of Tano contract area. About 6.73% of the total 131 million cedis of the annual budgeting funded amount was transferred to the District Assembly Common Fund in the first half of 2023. The semi-annual report also suggested that the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund plans to invest $380 million in the Tema Motorway and the Pualugu Multi-Purpose Dam over the period of 2023 to 2025. Out of this, a little over $41 million was disbursed to the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund for the Special Investment Vehicle Viability Gap for the Tema Motorway Extension Project from January to June 2023.
And that is James Shen's report. Now, head of sales and marketing at KPMG Ghana, Akisiaka, says there's a need to tighten regulatory framework that governs the fintech space. According to her, this is needed to clamp down on money laundering activities in Ghana. She's been speaking at the launch of the 2023 Ghana Fintechs Award.
And really, as the industry grows and with all digital, platforms, there need to be the need for a regulatory framework. It's a new sector, so it's now evolving, and there need to be the guided rules for everybody to play within the same scheme. And really, at this point, when it comes to money usage through e-commerce and e-transfers and all that, that's where we see the upsurge of money laundering as well. So then we are positioned to really help the industry to make sure that the regulatory environment is actually robust, that can sustain anti-money laundering capabilities and also support systems and all that.
Head of Sales and Marketing at KPMG Ghana, Kisiaka. To the stock market, if you're a shareholder of EcoBank, the value of each share that you're holding today was up by 20 pesos to close at 5 Ghana cedis, 60 pesos. And if you've also invested on the Ghana Stock Exchange from January to date, returns now is almost at 28%. And that's all for business on Newsnight. Even so, let's make a date at 9 p.m. on PM Express tonight.
Finance Minister exclusive with George Weafe. George, thank you very much.
Thank you, Evans.
See you at 9. Yeah. Now, some breast cancer survivors are demanding government absorb the full cost of treatment of the disease under the National Health Insurance Scheme. Although the scheme currently covers the cost of some consumables used in treatment, the survivors say the remaining financial burden is sending some patients to their early graves. They tell Joy News the cost-intensive nature of treating the disease has left many in debt. Here is Kwesi Adai-Kwatin's report read to you.
Joyce Banlabi has won a battle with breast cancer. The businesswoman and mother of 4 describes the day she was diagnosed as the day life came to a halt. Joyce says her struggle with breast cancer went beyond the thorn in her flesh. It was a battle for money to keep her alive.
It's all about money. Money. Because you knowing that you are in stage 1 or stage 2 alone, that one alone is money. You have to buy a biopsy needle, take a sample to the pathologist, a lot. The money involved alone is killing some of the women because she would decide not to come at all to the hospital. Money is a challenge.
Joycelyn Yao Kuma is a critical nurse and says she has seen patients at their lowest points. Joycelyn says she never thought she would also need critical care until her breast cancer was diagnosed in 2019.
Most of the time, we only hear the chemo drugs are expensive. But the other medications they add to this chemo treatment, there's one that is called Neupogen. If you are supposed to be taking Neupogen 3 days, like after chemo, one at my time was 460, and you have to take it for 3 days. So that's like 1,300 some amount, including the chemo that you are paying for. So it makes it very expensive. Now, every 3 weeks before you go for chemo, you have to do labs, which is also expensive. After that, then radiotherapy. For that one, there's nothing like insurance or anything. So even if you get the money to pay, even get your chance with the machine can break your heart.
She's therefore calling on government to absorb the full cost of treatment.
It's no one's fault that we have cancer. It's not a disease that you choose. It's a disease that happens to you. It can happen to anyone. It's no respecter of your religion or your socioeconomic. It's no respecter of anyone. It can happen to you. So we are just pleading that please make the medications available. Those that are not insurance, at least it can be put on insurance. Please, this one is to all, not only government, but every stakeholder.
Ibrahim Oponkwating, the executive director of MENA Breast Cancer Foundation, lost his wife to breast cancer complications in 2020. This birthed the initiative to support cancer patients. He believes the burden of breast cancer sufferers will reduce if government absorbs the cost of treatment.
Government should make breast cancer care free. It's important, much as we are all aware that government incurs a lot of costs in the health care delivery system. It is important to also know that there are many poor women in the poverty bracket who cannot pay for the high cost of treatment for breast cancer. From biopsy, from mammogram, pathology, chemotherapy, radiotherapy, surgery, and so on and so forth, you need a fortune at the bank. So we are pleading with government to make breast cancer care and treatment free.
Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumabuaji, says there is an ongoing advocacy for the cost of treating breast cancer to be fully absorbed by the National Health Insurance Scheme.
I will continue to advocate, as you heard in my speech, that we have a full cover for breast cancer. However, it comes from whether insurance or whether subsidies or some approach that will allow that we're taking that the cost of care away from the patient. So that's where we are now, but we'll continue to advocate. I'm sure you're all part.
The survivors are calling on all stakeholders to support cancer patients in their treatment journey.
And of course, we are using the entire month to create awareness about breast cancer and the need to keep checking. Very important. Let's do sports now. Ms. Bao is here with the very latest. Hello, Ms. Bao.
Hello, Evans. Well, we're just keeping tabs on the national size of masquerades, and
goodness me, I let Geography go because his school is in the contest.
Oh, Presec, they're just wrapping up at round one, and from what I monitored, it's Infantipum who are leading round one.
Can somebody call George?
Yeah.
Call me.
Infantipum is leading round one, Presec is second, and Keta are third in that order. So we'll see what happens there. But in terms of sports, the maiden edition of the African Football League is set to kick off tomorrow. And Katsi and Joy Prime, her sister station, has gotten the full right to cover that game. So all the games are going to be live on Joy Prime. Then African Football League is a novel league which has been introduced by the Confederation of African Football, and it's to see 8 teams participating in the inaugural edition. Now, the teams that will be taking part include Simba of Tanzania. You have Al Ahly of Egypt in there. You have TP Mazembe there. You have Esperance also there. You have Enyimba there. You have Wydad Athletic there. You have Petro in there. You have Mamelodi Sundowns also in there. There's no Ghanaian club in the inaugural edition. However, it's expected that in the second edition, Ghanaian clubs will be able to participate in it. Now, the president of Confederation African Football, Patrice Motsepe, has been explaining to us what this tournament really is going to do for the clubs.
The African Football League will be a very important step to ensure that club football on the African continent is globally competitive. It's exciting, the fans love it, and it involves the best players on the continent, and the prize money will be amongst the biggest. We recognize that an important part of maintaining and ensuring that the best African players play in Africa is linked to the salaries that we will be paying all of these players. Those salaries have to be competitive. And we also want to make sure that the clubs that are participating, it's an important part towards the football clubs on the continent becoming self-sustaining and, very importantly, becoming profitable.
Swatsepa, the president of the Confederation of African Football. But one of our very own, Asamoah Gyan, who is an ambassador for the league, has also been offering his predictions ahead of the first games.
Everybody is here to win the Super League, and honestly, I'll be back to be watching. And of course, on paper, everybody know Al Ahly of Egypt is a very, very strong team who has been dominating for recent years, for the past decades. And right now, everybody also wants the challenge. You know, for now, I think on paper, Al Ahly of Egypt looks more stronger, but you might never know other preparation from other teams. You know, so honestly, I would say on paper, Al Ahly is the favorite on paper right now. You know, but there might be surprises.
Asamoah Gyan there. Well, so the games start tomorrow, and the first game is Simba taking on Al Ahly. The game will be in Tanzania. It will be live on Joy Prime at 3 p.m. That's it for sports, brought to you by Pepsi and Herbal and Jacko Evans.
Thank you very much, Ms. Bao. A few of your messages on our WhatsApp console now, and this one on what we brought you on top story relating to the National Security Minister's assessment of the security threat, which borders on a trend where civil society, media, and academia actors are engaged in active promotion of coup d'etat. Well, he says maybe the National Security Minister is confused as to what strategy is needed to be deployed to combat insurgency. And on the subject, still on that subject, is another one with no name. He says the Kanda Power wants to silence the influencers in the media space. That's his view. Also, Edmund from Awoshi, listening to the deputy CEO of Cocoa Board issue, I think the man is hiding from the truth. If there is discipline, what's the finance minister's presence going to do? I thought the finance minister is busy. He is a deputy CEO. Is the deputy CEO saying cabinet, the board members, and the management of Cocoa Board are complicit in the failure? Is a question that he is asking. And Manasseh says what the Minister of Finance said was in the right direction. Just come and see a Cocoa Board road from Suhum to Adakwa. It was in bad state, a road less than 80 months and a lot of potholes, and nobody cares. A few of your comments there. Now, the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Kuma Boachi, has directed all hospitals in flood-affected areas to offer free medical treatment to persons without NHIS cards and those who do not have funds to pay for the services. Now, earlier, displaced persons who had either misplaced or did not have NHIS cards in the floodwaters told John News they are struggling to access healthcare.
I've lost everything in the flood that came the last time, including my health insurance card. The government had even set up a clinic for us here, but because I've lost my national health insurance card, I can't go to the hospital.
What the Ghana Health Service boss says, costs will no longer be a hindrance.
Response. One of them, we have the regional emergency operating center that continue to meet and provide updates and respond to them. We've, as a national level, have made paid visit to the Volta region, led by the Director of Public Health. And also we have also received some donations of medicines and stuff from VRA. But so far, medicines and supplies are available. We have GMA that is also created a platform to also offer free care to the displaced people, including the Ghana Registered Midwives and Nurse and Midwives Association, as well as the Psychological Society of Ghana, who are also moving to Volta region to offer care. I've also directed that for those people who may have lost their health insurance cards or do not have resources, the facility should offer free care in the interim whilst we find solutions to address these challenges.
Well, my colleague Carlos Kaloni is on the ground and I've been monitoring this. Carlos, have you found evidence that this is actually been implemented?
Well, even most of the disputed persons are themselves, they are aware of the so even though them say they are not feeling too well, sort of the flood victims, they are actually go to hospitals for the treatment. They might be tended to their NHI card, and but other people take advantage of care provided by the and began.
Unfortunately, we're having a terrible connection to Carlos, but you can catch Carlos's full account of what is happening on the ground as far as the health situation is concerned on Joy Prime. Apologies for that terrible connection there. As you can imagine, it's been a tough time in the downstream areas down south of the dam, the Akosomo Dam, after it was spilled. Catch all the latest on this on Joy Prime. Now, controlling electrical and electronic home appliances can be a daunting task, especially for disabled. Now, though some appliances can be controlled remotely, they have separate remote controllers and may even require the internet. But what if you can control all your home appliances using your phone's Bluetooth? That's what a student from the Sunyani Technical University has developed. Lab FM's Kwesi Deborah caught up with Farida Ali for Tech Thursday.
This is home automation using Bluetooth. You install the Bluetooth app. The first bulb is for the light. This one is for the fan. This is for the AC, and this is for TV. So you have to take your phone, go to the app. So when you go to the app, you connect. So that when you are at home, inside, sitting at your home zone, you can operate any appliance in the home, wherever you are seated. And I said earlier on that for the disabled too, it is very good for them since they cannot move around. When they are seated, they can just sit there either on the TV or off it, on the fan, off the fan, any appliance in the room.
And that's Tech Thursday for you there. Good initiative, by the way. Listen, let me bring you the very latest from the ongoing National Science and Maths Quiz. And tonight, sweet victory for Opoku Wari and Prempeh College. They've crashed out of the National Science and Maths Quiz. They were knocked out by their regional rivals Opoku Wari. Let me give you a taste of that defeat.
36 points. Pope John Senior High School and Minor Seminary has 36 points. Opoku Wari School has 38 points. Prempeh College, this is why we say goodbye to you for 2023.
You're speechless. We weren't expecting this thing to happen to us. They can never mark Presec.
You see, my eyes are red. It's not because we have lost. That's why my eyes are red. Yes, naturally, that's why my eyes are.
He did it. He slayed demon. You are going to the finals and you are clenching the trophy.
Now we know Achimota is joining us. We are waiting for whoever comes. Well,
my colleague Jackie is on the ground. And Jackie, there is another interesting clash currently underway. Presec, what's happening to them?
Well, Evans, good evening to you and our listeners. So we are currently in the last contest for the day. And Evans, the big question remains is which of these three schools will be the one to join the two schools, and that is Achimota and Owas at the grand finale. But we've ended with the first round of this evening's contest. And in front of Penn School is leading with 22 points. And we have Presbyterian Boys School with some 20 points and Keta SHPS with some 17 points. We are currently in the second round as I speak to you.
Okay, and so there is a long way to go just yet. And Presec is trailing. Infantipim is leading. Just 2 points between them. Keta is in the third place with 17. We're keeping a close eye on this. Jackie will be coming to you for updates on the Joy News channel. You want to go there and watch that. Catch it also live on our YouTube and Facebook and social media pages. And I know many are praying that Presec loses this particular contest, and that is one that is many people would love to see. Infantipim is also there. Listen, interesting times ahead. As for Aquinas, we are enjoying this. Lexus Bill is up next. It's on Personality Profile, and he's going to be having a conversation with Mr. Alex Dede, the Executive Chairman of KGL Group, of Board Chair of the GIPC, Man of the Year, 8th Emmy Africa